We have got Deven Choksey now joining in on the show. Deven, would you recommend retail shareholders participating in the FPO? And is it just for arbitrage, buy now and flip perhaps in the next few days? Or do you think over the longer term, this company has the might to take on Bharti and Jio?
Yeah, Rima, good morning. Well, on one side, I think the business possibilities are many. The growth prospects, given the kind of demography that we have, is simply, I think, assuming that most of the players will have relatively larger amount of penetration into the 4G and 5G spectrum that they have implemented through the, I think, larger population that we have. So that possibility is not ruled out. And as such, I think the business is demanding huge amount of capital investment. Likes of Geo has suggested that I think the bulk of capital and investment has to be front-ended. And then subsequently, I think you have to use the money for the purpose of converting the customers into the newer technology platforms. So they have been pretty successful with that, and they have created a large size book. Here, the Vodafone Idea, per se, I think is basically moving last in this particular space. Maybe they have some advantage at the same time from learning from others, but at the same time, I guess I think the investing smaller money in creating the presence may not be sufficient, may not be enough. Maybe I think at this point of time, this 45,000 crore worth of investment is possibly giving them some hope, some lifeline. After investing in 2022, I think now again in 2024, this money, maybe this process will continue for some more time. I think that they will have to take some more money. But I believe that I think the capital investment program will have to be continued going forward. So given the possibility that on one side, the business acceleration demands huge amount of capital investment, and so the profit will take little longer time, and shareholders' return also will take little longer time. On the other side, market momentum remains absolutely very strong. So this momentum is suggesting that the downside risk in the stock will be limited. So those who are traders, those who want to flip the stock, I think they will not be disappointed. That's what my understanding is. Those who are long-term investors, they have to really stay long-term in this particular company beyond 5 years.
But since you're saying that, the downside may be limited, but in the upside, there will be a lot of patience that's needed from long-term investors. Do you think the opportunity cost is better with some of the other, telecom companies, maybe a Bharti, a Reliance, which have already rallied quite a bit? What's your view here?
Yes, Sonia, I think that is important because I think the way in which the technology platforms are changing, the way in which I think the computing demand, I think, is increasing, the way in which adoption of AI is taking place. I think the technology 5G will have to be soon upgraded to 6G going forward. And if that is the situation, then probably I think the people who are not catching up even today with 5G will find it, I think, extremely hard, or the struggle would be extremely high as far as I think their ability to adapt to the newer platform of technology. So maybe one can clearly say that I think go with clarity, go with the surety as far as I think the business outlook is concerned. The likes of Geo, they are putting in significant amount of investment in building the use cases in different industry verticals. And to my mind, I think it makes choice irreversible as far as I think the customer is concerned to adapt to the platform, Geo platform or the 5G for that matter, because of the use cases that they are building in. I think your entire life would be dependent on those kind of use cases. So to my mind, I think it would be better to stay with the clarity where I think you are very sure. Or there in Geo's case, 1,20,000 crore revenue book is established, 60,000 crore worth of EBITDA is established on a yearly basis, and it is growing at the rate of 20%. So every 4 years, I think the balance sheet is getting doubled. I would rather prefer to, I think, stay with clarity. That would be my take on the subject.
Indus Towers, by the way, is up nearly 5.5%, taking its year-to-date rally to 76%. Deven, Indus Towers is a clear winner, right? With these developments with Vodafone Idea is spending on capex, which means more money goes into the hands of Indus Towers, more business for Indus Towers, and plus there is a chance that the old receivables will now get covered. But the question is, Indus Towers is already at 350. It's up 155% in the last 1 year. So from here on, is there upside?
So the market has actually factored in the possibility of they receiving the money through this infusion of funds by the Vodafone Idea. which categorically the management says that I think it is not going to be the case. Their immediate priority is going to be spending towards a capex program, both in 4G as well as in 5G. In fact, more in 4G and little less in 5G. So to a greater extent, I think every other creditor will have to wait till the time the bank creditor is getting paid off. In my viewpoint, I think at this point of time, I'm not counting on immediate possibility of Indus Tower getting a significant chunk of money, though they have 17% of the program, I think, from this equity issue, where I think they would like to possibly retire some part of the creditors also. But immediately, I think that is not something which we are counting on. Maybe the stock has rallied ahead of its time. That is what I would like to say.
Deven, stay with us. Mahesh Upal is also with us, director at Comfirst India. Mahesh, you've seen the sector a long, long time. Thank you very much for joining us. Prashant this side. Good to speak with you again. Because there are so many moving parts here for Vodafone Idea to work as an investment idea. The AGR due, something needs to happen there. There is tariff increases which need to happen. I mean, generally the overall external environment needs to be pretty supportive. Do you reckon all of this could sort of align in the right way with, of course, the government doing a fair bit of heavy lifting as well? They are, of course, the single largest shareholder, one of the largest shareholders with over 30% stake now.
Yeah, no, I do believe that something will have to be worked out so as for Vodafone to kind of make it or survive. Because I think the government itself has made several statements over the years saying that it is committed to a more competitive market. It's also true that Vodafone, despite having a huge AGR liability, for which it can partly blame itself, but having said that, there is no doubt that Vodafone itself is a fairly competitive player in the marketplace. There is little evidence that Vodafone's network is poor or that the Vodafone's quality of subscribers in terms of revenues are particularly a challenge. It is true that they have been losing a lot of market share. Obviously, the environment and the kind of press and some justified press that it is getting, its difficulties are obviously reflecting in the marketplace. But unlike BSNL, for example, Vodafone is a good network. It pretty much measures up to most of its competitors, despite the fact that it doesn't have a 5G network. And also, remember that for a company to have roughly about 18 to 20 crore customers is not a small thing, and especially if it's across the country. I mean, this is the size of several networks in Europe. So I would not think that Vodafone is totally out of trouble, but I'm more optimistic that it will survive.
Okay, it will survive, but will it thrive? Can its market share go up? We've seen the market share fall, but do you expect the market share to rise? Execution was never a problem for Vodafone Idea. Capital was a constraint. And now that they've got the capital and they're investing it all in growth, with this enhanced 4G coverage, capacity expansion, and the beginning of 5G rollout, do you see market share gains coming for Vodafone Idea?
Yes, I do. I mean, how significant there will be, time will tell. But I do. I mean, given what you're saying, and which I also agree with, the execution has not been a problem for them. It is really capital. And now that they are likely to get some more investment, get some more funds, I would imagine that they are well placed to put it to good use and to try and recoup some of the losses that they have had in the market share space.
Mr. Uppal, thank you very much for joining in. We thank Deven as well for his time and insights on this particular issue. Need to get